In 2013, Spanish police carried out a major drug bust involving 4 Canadian men linked to the Hells Angels motorcycle gang. The operation stopped half a ton of pure cocaine from being distributed across Europe. This case showed how international drug smuggling networks operate across continents. In September 2013, Spanish police arrested 4 men in the coastal region of Galicia, near the city of Pontevedra. These men were caught while trying to unload 500 kilograms, half a ton, of cocaine from a yacht that had traveled from Colombia. The suspects were part of a larger international smuggling operation. The cocaine was hidden on a luxury yacht which sailed directly from South America. It arrived at night on the rugged Galician coast, a region often used for smuggling because of its many inlets and remote beaches. Once on land, the drugs were packed into vans and were meant to be transported inland, likely toward Madrid, for distribution across Europe. However, the police had been watching them for months. Spanish authorities worked closely with international agencies, including the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration (DEA), Canada's Royal Canadian Mounted Police (RCMP), Europol, French customs officials. The operation was carefully timed. Police waited until the cocaine was transferred from the yacht to the vans, then moved in. 4 suspects were arrested, and all 500 kilograms of cocaine was recovered. All 4 were Canadian nationals. Arkansas and Wilson were well-known members of the Hells Angels, connected to chapters in British Columbia. They had criminal records and were believed to have managed the international movement of the drugs. The other 2 suspects were less known, but are believed to have handled local logistics in Spain, including housing, transportation, and coordinating the drug transfer. The Galician coast has long been used for drug smuggling. It offers remote coastal areas that are hard to patrol, experienced local sailors, easy access to road and rail networks for inland transport. The region has a history of smuggling going back generations, and modern traffickers still use traditional knowledge of the sea to avoid detection. This was not a random arrest. Police had been tracking the yacht's movements from Colombia, the suspects' travel and financial records, communication between known criminals in Europe and North America. By late July 2013, Spanish authorities had located the exact drop-off point. Surveillance teams were in place when the cocaine arrived. When the smugglers moved the cocaine into vans near a small cafe in Pontevedra, police moved in and arrested them without violence. This operation succeeded because of excellent cooperation between multiple countries. Agencies shared maritime surveillance data, travel and criminal history of suspects, on-the-ground intelligence in Spain. This type of coordination made it impossible for the smugglers to escape. At the time, Spanish media estimated the value of the seized cocaine at 17.5 million euros, wholesale value. But experts say the street value could have reached $50 million or more once the cocaine was diluted and sold in small amounts across Europe. This bust was not the only one involving the Hells Angels in Spain. Around the same time, Spanish police also launched Operation Casablanca on the island of Mallorca. At the center of that investigation was Frank Hannebuth, a senior Hells Angels leader from Germany. The 2013 Galicia operation showed how biker gangs, South American cartels, and European criminal groups are working together to traffic cocaine into Europe. It also proved that international cooperation between law enforcement agencies can successfully stop these operations. While this case was a major win, authorities believe many similar shipments may have already passed through undetected. Investigations are ongoing to uncover the full extent of the smuggling network. Prosecutors accused Frank Hannebuth, a senior figure in the Hells Angels, of leading a large organized crime group that operated across Spain and other parts of Europe. Initially, this seemed like a major breakthrough in law enforcement efforts. However, the legal process became long and complex. Over the next 10 years, the case moved slowly through Spain's court system. Some defendants accepted plea deals, paying fines to avoid long prison terms. These deals allowed prosecutors to secure some accountability, but they fell short of full convictions at the leadership level. In early 2023, Spain's High Court ruled that Hannibal was not guilty of being part of a criminal organization. The court acknowledged that some individuals committed crimes, but it concluded that there was not enough evidence to prove Hannibal directly coordinated a criminal network. This outcome highlighted the difficulty of prosecuting organized crime leaders. While police may collect intelligence and surveillance, converting that into solid courtroom evidence is often difficult. The acquittal was a setback for Spanish authorities and emphasized how complex and resilient these networks can be. The Hells Angels activities in Spain went far beyond drug trafficking. Investigators believe the group embedded itself in local economies, especially in tourist hubs, to launder profits and operate under the cover of legitimate businesses. By 2023, Spanish law enforcement had disrupted many parts of these networks. However, the outcomes in court made it clear that dismantling such organizations involves more than just police operations. It requires strong legal cases that can stand up in court. More than a decade after the Pontevedra cocaine bust, Spanish authorities continue to investigate biker-linked drug networks. In 2024, a major operation took place in Marbella, a luxury area on Spain's Costa del Sol. The city is known for its nightlife and wealthy residents, but it has also become a hub for organized crime. This operation targeted a senior Hells Angels member suspected of managing a new drug trafficking route. Police believe the network was moving both cocaine and cannabis through Malaga, with drugs later sent to Germany and other parts of Europe. Authorities also found evidence of illegal weapons trafficking, showing that the network was expanding into other types of criminal activity. The operation received support from Europol, which provided intelligence and connected it to other investigations in Europe. This case showed once again how biker gangs like the Hells Angels operate across borders, coordinating criminal activity between Spain, Northern Europe, Canada, and South America. The Galician coast continues to play a key role in drug trafficking. The area's geography, especially its deep inlets and remote beaches, makes it difficult to monitor. Small boats can land unnoticed, and many locals have generations of seafaring knowledge that traffickers use to avoid detection. Drugs are typically smuggled in from Colombia or Brazil, using yachts or fishing vessels disguised as commercial traffic. Once the boats arrive, the drugs are quickly unloaded and moved inland, often heading toward Madrid. From Madrid, traffickers use Spain's road networks to reach markets in France, Germany, and other parts of Europe. In the Pontevedra bust, police found that the group used encrypted phones and coded messages, showing a high level of operational security. Instead of using containers, which are more likely to be inspected, smugglers preferred yachts for their flexibility. These vessels can avoid busy ports and dock in quiet coves, making them harder to detect. The Pontevedra arrests in 2013 were a major operational success. 4 Canadian members of the Hells Angels were charged with serious offenses related to drug trafficking and organized crime. However, media coverage focused mostly on the arrests and drug seizure, and little is known publicly about their final sentences. This lack of information is common in high-profile biker gang cases. Prosecuting gang leaders is extremely difficult. They often do not handle drugs directly, and the evidence tends to be circumstantial or based on encrypted communication. In the Operation Casablanca case in Mallorca, over 20 people were arrested in 2013, including Hannibal. But in 2023, he was acquitted, even though some of his co-defendants accepted plea deals. This shows how hard it is to prove leadership or structured coordination within biker gangs in court. These challenges highlight a key problem. While police may disrupt drug flows and arrest key figures, securing convictions at the top is still very difficult. Even after arrests, leaders may return to power or others may take their place, keeping the criminal operation alive. The Pontevedra seizure, 500 kilograms of cocaine, was a major blow to trafficking operations. It delayed distribution, increased street prices, and sent a message that authorities are watching. However, it did not eliminate the flow of drugs. Demand remains high, and traffickers adapt quickly. When one route is blocked, they find another. They may shift from yachts to speedboats or change drop-off points to less monitored coastal areas. Spain's geography, long coastlines, proximity to North Africa and South America, and access to EU road networks makes it a strategic gateway for drug trafficking into Europe. Spain's geography, long coastlines, proximity to North Africa and South America, and access to EU road networks makes it a strategic gateway for drug trafficking into Europe. Law enforcement needs international coordination to succeed. The Pontevedra case involved Spain's national police, the DEA, USA, RCMP, Canada, Europol, and French authorities. Experts expect future operations to use real-time data sharing, satellite tracking, and drone patrols to counter new smuggling tactics. Each major seizure has a ripple effect. It raises risk for traffickers and puts financial pressure on the supply chain. These wins, while not final, help weaken the power of organized crime over time. The Pontevedra case revealed a highly organized and international drug trafficking network led by Hells Angels members from Canada. The group used yachts to move cocaine from Colombia to Spain, then vans to distribute the drugs inland. Despite arrests and seizures, long-term convictions, especially at the leadership level, are difficult due to legal and evidentiary challenges. Spain remains a key entry point for cocaine due to its geography and infrastructure. Ongoing international cooperation is critical to counter organized crime groups that operate across borders. The fight continues not just on Spain's coasts, but in courtrooms where legal outcomes shape the long-term effectiveness of law enforcement.